Facts Hunter needs to stop going on about Coach Red Pill.
So here he is saying that we should stop talking about Coach Redpill and Gonzalo Lira. And that's not going to be doable. Nope, 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 nope. And the reason why is because people keep making videos about Gonzalo Lira and not necessarily to debunk him or to talk shit about him. No, actually, some people are making new videos that are rewriting history or telling history wrong. And that's the reason why me, after so many months of not making YouTube videos about Gonzalo Lira, that's why I decided to, jump back in one more time, one or two more times, and talk more about Gonzalo Lira. And right here, this is where I'm going to explain why it is okay and it is almost necessary to talk shit about Gonzalo Lira right now that he's dead. And you know why?
The Facts Hunter.
Okay, so let's go to the first one. Let me see. I'm going to, let's see, screen capture. Hold on one second. All right, there it goes. This is going to be my first subject of debunking. This fellow right here, he tagged me in this video complaining that I was talking, pissing on Gonzalo Lira's grave, and he's not okay with that. He claims that the main reason why he's not okay with doing that is because his kids, his Gonzalo Lira's children, could be watching these videos of people, talking shit about Gonzalo Lira, and that will harm them for some reason. Well, let's watch the video really fast, and then I'm going to stop a little bit at every time I need to debunk something from him or correct him. This one is a small video. Let me see, how long is this video? Oh, it's only 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 25 seconds, right? So I'm going to play it, and I'm going to pause it every time I want to debunk something that he say, okay? So here it goes.
Do you know what's a kick in the tadger? Is the amount of people that keep pissing on people who are dead. Now I'm talking directly about Coach Red Pill here. A lot of people are making videos about him now when he's already gone. My only issue with this is the fact that he's got a wife and kids, or ex-wife and kids, and he's gone. And he was not some of the worst things that people have done on the internet, and people are still going on about it. I'm talking about Facts Hunter and that other real pale dude who
You say my name. You say my name.
thinks he can attract women. I'll link this video to them. The fact of the matter is, Coach Red Pill wasn't an angel, and he did some things that were questionable. But he said some things that were also facts. We've got a sliding scale here between other content creators who have done things which are questionable as well. So on one side here, you've got people who've done really dark things, and then in the middle, you've got people who have also done scams, crypto scams in particular. And then on the far side here, one of the biggest creators, it's come out allegedly that they've been not treating their staff properly. So the fact of the matter is, Coach Red Pill did some things that he shouldn't have done, but why are people still talking about it? He's gone. He can't defend himself. And the fact of the matter is, again, I keep saying the fact of the matter, these content creators,
Yes.
it doesn't matter what they do because they've got panache. When they speak, people just listen. Like, they've got some content creators who say racist things and get away with it after a while because people forgive them.
Yeah.
Because they just come across so well. And these people who like try to expose them, people don't listen to them. Look at the views. Look at my views. There was also a study done a few years ago where it says that people who lie a lot and like fabricate things are the ones who are more like popular, which is true, I guess, because if you're someone like me who keeps telling people the truth, they don't really like it. People don't want the truth. Yeah? I don't understand why Fact Hunter just keeps going on and on about Gonzalo Lira. Some of the things that he said were true. Like the whole Russia and Ukraine war was started because Ukraine are not sticking to the Minsk agreement anymore, and they were trying to join NATO and put nuclear weapons on the border. Now, Fact Hunter thinks he's really intelligent, but do you remember the Cuban Missile Crisis? The USA won't allow people to put nukes right near them because it's mutually assured destruction when it's nuclear war. Like, some people just talk like they're so intelligent, and you just don't know what the fuck they're talking about half the time.
Okay. I'm going to have to stop it right here.
Some of the things that he said were true.
Some of the things that he said were true. Like what?
Like the whole Russia and Ukraine war was started because Ukraine are not sticking to the Minsk agreement anymore.
Oh, Ukraine didn't stick to the agreement. That's what he's saying. Okay, so what he is saying is that Gonzalo Lira was speaking the truth when it came to the reason why the Russian-Ukrainian war started. Well, I got to disagree with you, my good sir. It's been more than, 3 years and the war keeps going? And it wasn't because Ukraine broke any agreements. I remember the missile crisis. Well, I wasn't born back then. I mean, I think that was back in 68, 66. I forgot the name. I love the movie with Kevin Costner, 13 Days, one of my favorite Kevin Costner movies. And let me tell you, Gonzalo Lira, he was full of shit. He lied about the reason why the Ukrainian-Russian war started, and that wasn't it. As a matter of fact, if you remember, on the days before the invasion, Gonzalo Lira was convinced that the claims from United States trying to warn Ukraine that Russia was about to invade, Gonzalo Lira didn't believe that there was going to be an invasion.
Hi there. I'm here in Kharkiv, Ukraine, eastern Ukraine. I am 40 kilometers from the border with Russia. And here we are all waiting for the invasion. Look around you. Look how terrified we all are. Just waiting around. Wait a second. We're not waiting around for any invasion because nobody here over the age of 12 or with an IQ of over 90 seriously thinks that there's going to be an invasion because it's bullshit. I mean, even the president of Ukraine has been talking about, not panicking over something that is not going to happen. And in the United States, they're talking on and on and on about this thing like it's going to happen like tomorrow. It's not. I've just come back from Kiev, by the way. I was there on business for the week. And, nobody was filling sandbags around government offices. There weren't like families fleeing with their meager possessions, running for their lives. There was none of that bullshit. They were just, people living their ordinary lives, doing the things that people do. Let me show these kids. If you can see them, they're all like playing around. Yeah, that's how terrified everybody here in Ukraine is, The kids are having snowball fights. That's how terrified they are. I mean, it's bullshit. Bottom line, it's bullshit. There is no war that's going to take place, but this relentless drumbeat of war in Eastern Europe, in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine, it's all done by people in Washington to improve their positions. Bottom line, that's what's going on. It's not complicated. And like I said, the president of Ukraine is trying to calm down the situation because he knows that there's no war that's imminent. This is a creation of the Americans in order to improve the political situation of Washington and London. Because, come on. In the United States, inflation is rampaging. The Biden administration is tanking. They need a distraction of a foreign war. And Boris Johnson and the conservatives in London, I got the same goddamn problem. They got Partygate, which is the dumbest fucking scandal you can possibly imagine. And the Boris Johnson government is about to fall. They'd actually fall were it not for the various problems, going on with the Labour Party and his foes within the Conservative Party. I mean, Britain and the United States have so many domestic issues. And on top of that, the Americans are freaking out about what's going on in Canada, frightened out of their minds that it's going to happen in the United States. And so they are pushing for a foreign war as a distraction. And the only people who are going to suffer are the Ukrainians. The only people who would be destroyed by this war are the Ukrainians. And 40 million people. And nobody here in Ukraine wants that. Nobody who's serious believes that a war is imminent. And if there is a war, it'll hurt Europe and the United States far more than it'll hurt Russia. It will. The Europeans will have no natural gas, and therefore they will go cold in the winter and without electricity during the summer. The American economy will completely tank. The dollar will lose its reserve currency status, and thereby inflation will go out of control. I mean, these people in Washington and London, to protect themselves from other crises that they have, in order to improve their positions and maybe get a little bit of money, they are willing to destroy their own countries for a non-reason. It's unbelievable. It's very funny in a dark way. And in the end, it's just the irresponsibility of it, the arrogance of it. These people are fools and incompetents, and they are pushing for a war that nobody wants, is not necessary, and they're pushing it just for their own ambition. Never forget that. Know what's going on. The mainstream media is lying to you with every breath that they take. And come on, do you really think that, they have ever told the truth, quite frankly?
So if that dumbass didn't know what Russia was going to do at that moment, where does he get off the next day claiming that it was Ukraine's fault that Russia invaded? That doesn't make sense. You're going to claim that Ukraine was breaking the deal that was previously established by Russia, United States, and Ukraine. No, the moment Russia invaded Ukraine, they are the ones who broke the deal. And the reason why Russia invaded, well, you don't need to look any farther than the interview that Putin did with Tucker Carlson. If you remember the interview that Tucker Carlson did with Vladimir Putin, in that interview, Putin never said anything about Ukraine breaking the deal, and which was the reason why they decided to invade. No. If you watch that interview, which happened a couple of months after you, my good sir, made this video, Putin specifically started talking about history, about a bunch of wrong history. But the narrative that he was giving was that Ukraine belongs to Russia because of that long bullshit history that he was talking about.
Mr. President, thank you. On February 22nd, 2022, you addressed your country in a nationwide address when the conflict in Ukraine started. And you said that you were acting because you had come to the conclusion that the United States, through NATO, might initiate a, quote, surprise attack on our country. And to American ears, that sounds paranoid. Tell us why you believe the United States might strike Russia out of the blue. How did you conclude that?
Well, it was not about that the United States wanted to surprisingly strike Russia. I didn't say so. Is it a talk show or is it a formidable, serious talk that we're having?
Here's the quote. Thank you. It's a formidable, serious talk.
It's a serious talk, okay. You are trained in history, as far as I know.
Yes.
So I'll allow myself like to spend a minute to give you a reference note, a debriefing, if you don't mind that.
Please.
Well, look, our relationship with Ukraine, what was the starting point of the relationship? Where does Ukraine come from? The Russian state became centralized, which was the year of establishment of the Russian state in 862, when, well, there is a city of Novgorod in the northwest of claiming that their rights were to be upheld.
I beg your pardon, can you tell us what period? I'm losing track of where in history we are. The Polish oppression of Ukraine.
It was in the 13th century, 13th century, 14th century. Of the dates. In 1654, or a bit earlier, the people who controlled power in that part of the Russian lands addressed Warsaw, claiming that some Russian ethnicity and Orthodox rulers would be sent to govern them, and Warsaw declined and rejected that, and then they turned to Moscow, so that Moscow would establish its power over them. Just, I'm not inventing things, don't you think? Just. I'll give you these documents.
Well, it doesn't sound like you're inventing it. I'm not sure why it's relevant to what happened 2 years ago.
Well, still, these are copies from the archive with letters from Bogdan Khmelnytsky, the one who controlled that part of the Russian lands that is now called Ukraine, and he wrote to Warsaw claiming that the rights be upheld, and when he was rejected, he received a refusal, he started writing to the Tsar of Moscow, wishing to be part of the Russian lands. And there is a translation in Russian and in English. The city of Gdansk appeared. It was renamed. So Hitler asked them to give it amicably. They refused, but still they collaborated with Hitler, and they together partitioned Czechoslovakia.
You're making a case that Ukraine, certainly parts of Ukraine, Eastern Ukraine, is in effect Russia, has been for hundreds of years. Why wouldn't you just take it when you became president 24 years ago? You have nuclear weapons, they don't. If it's actually your land, why did you wait so long?
I'll tell you. I'm coming to that. You know, this debriefing is coming to an end. It might be boring, but it explains many things.
How it's relevant.
Good.
You obviously have encyclopedic knowledge of this region, but why didn't you make this case for the first 22 years as president that Ukraine wasn't a real country?
Yes. The Soviet Ukraine received a great deal of territory that had never belonged to it, including the Black Sea region. Russia received those lands as a result, as an outcome of the Russian-Turkish wars, and they were called New Russia or Novorossiya, but that doesn't matter. But actually Lenin, the founder of the Soviet state, gave Ukraine its own territory, and for decades the Ukrainian Soviet Republic was part of the USSR, and to unknown reasons the Bolsheviks promoted the Ukrainian culture and language, Ukrainization, Ukrainization was called, and similar things were done in other Soviet republics. The ethnic profiles of those republics were raised and promoted. This is how Soviet Ukraine was created, and after the Second World War, Ukraine received part of the lands that had belonged to Poland before, and part of the land that had belonged to Hungary and Romania before. So Romania and Hungary were deprived of part of their lands, and these lands were snatched and given to Ukraine, and now they're still part of Ukraine. So in this sense, Ukraine is an artificial state that was established.
Hungary has a right to take its land back from Ukraine, and that other nations have a right to go back to their 1654 borders?
So no, the reason why the war started is because Russia wants to recuperate all those territories that they lost when the USSR fell apart. That's the whole reason. You might say that I'm wrong, but you cannot say that Putin is wrong. When you hear him say that the excuse for him invading Ukraine was because Ukraine has always belonged to Russia. That's the whole thing.
Ukraine is an artificial state.
So all that thing about the missile crisis, blah, 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 that's all bullshit. And guess what? Back in those days when Russia was putting missiles in Cuba, United States didn't went to invade Cuba right away.
Homestead, Eglin, Opelika, McDill, Patrick, Pensacola. Due to the tropical foliage, the upland calls for high explosive and napalm loadouts.
I still think there are diplomatic approaches we haven't considered yet.
We have high confidence in the expanded airstrike option, Mr. President. The chiefs and I believe we should follow up the airstrikes with a full version of Oplan 316.
An invasion?
Yes, sir. We can be sure we get all the missiles and we remove Castro. So this can never happen again.
So back to my explanation. Yes, when Cuba started getting missiles, Russian missiles, right there on their land, United States didn't invade Cuba or Russia.
We now count 40 missiles. Longer range, IRBMs. They can hit every place in the country, except Seattle.
Mr. President, the motto I chose for SAC is peace is our profession. Now, God forbid we find ourselves in a nuclear exchange. But if launched, those missiles from Cuba would kill a lot of Americans. The very presence of those missiles gives the Soviets first strike capability. Those missiles make a nuclear exchange more likely. And that is why I'm being such a pain in the ass. And, sir, given your own statements about Cuba, I think a blockade or a bunch of political talk be considered by a lot of our friends and neutrals as a pretty weak response. I suspect that many of our own citizens might feel the same way.
They put a blockade. They put a blockade to prevent more missiles to come in. And we were close to going to war. Once again, go watch that movie with Kevin Costner, 13 Days. Awesome movie. I love watching it. Right there you will learn. The United States never invaded Cuba when the missiles started getting placed. So comparing the missile crisis to the Russian invasion of Ukraine is wrong. What the fuck are you talking about, man? Shit. Okay.
Okay, I agree that Coach Red Pill has done some things that are questionable in the past, and allegedly he did something which I totally don't agree with. But so what if he rugged his audience a little bit? All the big content creators do. You know what I mean? And people still used to watch his videos.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that really winds people up all the time. You know, that people get views and they do things to their audience, like rug them. People are just like that, I guess. Facts Hunter needs to stop going on about Coach Red Pill.
Okay, so here he is saying that we should stop talking about Coach Red Pill and Gonzalo Lira. And that's not going to be doable. Nope. And the reason why is because people keep making videos about Gonzalo Lira. and not necessarily to debunk him or to talk shit about him. No, actually, some people are making new videos that are rewriting history or telling history wrong, making mistakes and whatnot. And that's the reason why me, after so many months of not making YouTube videos about Gonzalo Lira, that's why I decided to, jump back in one more time, one or two more times, and talk more about Gonzalo Lira. And right here, this is where I'm going to explain why it is okay and it is almost necessary to talk shit about Gonzalo Lira right now that he's dead. And you know why? Because when he was alive, if you were to go after him, he will try to sue you into silence. That doesn't fly with me. When I started making videos about Gonzalo Lira, my biggest concern was going to be that he was going to get a hold of my videos and then try to sue me. And I was researching ways to fight back in case that asshole will try to silence me with a lawsuit. And that is true. And I'm going to prove to you why that was true, my good sir. Well, okay, let me just play the last 20 seconds of this video.
Like, come at me, bro. God, man, people just piss me off, man.
Yep.
What a kick in the tadger.
Yep.
Can I ask you to do two things for me? Number one.
Nope.
Can you hit that subscribe button?
Nope.
And hit the bell icon?
Nope.
And number two, remember, it's a great day. I'll see you in the next one. I've been Sonny Bye.
Okay. It's a great day. Yes, my good sir. Well, okay. So you summon the thunder, and the thunder responds. Bam. This is the thunder right here. So remember this guy right here, Mr. Steve King. Well, Gonzalo Lira, before YouTube, he was already conning people out of their money. As you can read right here, yes, despite being an economic skeptic, I am frequently too trusting. So that got me stuck with this sleazebag like Gonzalo Lira as a partner. So what happened? Gonzalo Lira hijacked Steve King blog and took all of his subscribers' money. Yeah, that's what Gonzalo Lira did to this man. Steve King is a renowned economist. And Gonzalo Lira persuaded him and tried to work a deal with him to convince him that he was going to manage his blog. And when he did that, when Steve King gave all his credentials for Gonzalo Lira to manage his blog, Gonzalo Lira just hijacked it and started stealing all his subscribers' money. And it's right here. You can see it. There are a lot of documentations right there in that tweet. We call them X's now or whatever. I don't care. It says it has been hijacked by Gonzalo Lira at Mr. Wokish. He's taking all subscribers' money and ignores my demands to shut the site down. Yeah, that's something that Gonzalo Lira did. Gonzalo Lira stole this guy's blog and was stealing all his money. He was a sleazebag. And you know why Steve King never sued Gonzalo Lira? Because it was going to be a lot of hassle. Steve King was asked, how come you're not suing Gonzalo Lira for what he did to you? And he said, no, because he's going to sue me. It's going to be more expensive to fight back than to get the money back or stop. He wasn't going to stop Gonzalo Lira. So he finally managed to shut down the blog and stop Gonzalo Lira from taking his money. And that was the major problem why you couldn't speak against Gonzalo Lira back in the day, because he will sue you. He had money. The guy was a con man. He stole money from a lot of people, and then he will reinvest that money and profit out of them. The guy, I don't think he ever did an honest day's work in his life. Maybe when he wrote his books, maybe that can be considered honest, but he also did a lot of things wrong when he promoted those books. I'll talk about that tomorrow on the big stream. Today, I just want to focus on these little streams. But the point is that that's why it's okay to talk about Gonzalo Lira right now, because now you don't have to worry about getting a lawsuit from that asshole. Yeah, that's it. So, sorry, sir. I'm still going to be talking shit about Gonzalo Lira and piss on his grave and dance on his grave and celebrate that he is no longer alive. And his kids, if you worry about his kids, well, let me tell you something, my good sir. Back in 2017, according to his ex-wife, Gonzalo Lira took off and went to Britain and abandoned his family in Ukraine. And a year later, when he came back, he mistreated them. He abused both his kids and his ex-wife. That's why she filed for divorce, and he relented custody of his kids. Let me show you right here. So let's keep going. So it says, yeah, so right there, 2 places later, the man went, as he said, to Great Britain to work. Then, according to him, he worked in other countries from January 2017 to the present. He started his channel in March 2017, and he left Ukraine in January of 2017. So he got to Ukraine on November 2016, and he didn't even last half a year and just took off and abandoned his wife and kids. Oh my God. And you're going to be telling me that I should be concerned for his children when the guy didn't give a fuck about them the day that he abandoned them? Dude. Okay. I can tell that I'm going to lose my voice if I don't control myself. So he wasn't worrying about his kids. So if he wasn't worried about his children when he was alive, why should you worry about them? Because you're a better person? You sound like you're okay with what the guy was doing when he was alive.
Okay, I agree that Coach Redpill has done some things that are questionable in the past, and allegedly did something which I totally don't agree with. But so what if he rugged his audience a little bit? All the big content creators do. You know what I mean? And people still used to watch his videos.
And now you want to white knight him and say that it's not okay to talk bad about against Coach Redpill. Hey, dude, this is the internet. There are no rules when it comes to talking shit about conmen who passed away out of their own stupid decisions. Dude. So yeah, no. I'm sorry if my videos piss you off. Sorry, but not sorry. Okay?